wife, Beulah Ruth Fossland. Will someone please open that back cabinet for us? Just pull the top portion open. Can we all take a gaze at that? Beulah Ruth Fossland. The words of Mr. Fossland, which he is giving me today, which will honor and represent and tell us a little history of our stained glass windows that we see sitting in front of us today. And these are the words of Mr. Fossland. In 1990, after my second wife had passed away, I was sitting in our hospital chapel, the little corner space. I thought the chapel would certainly look much more spiritual if the windows were stained glass. Then I thought, what could I do? What I could do is to have a stained glass memorial window made in memory of each of my two wives. My first wife, who I used to walk home from 6th grade in elementary school, was Laura Hawkins. We were happily married for 42 years, even though she had Alzheimer's disease the last 10 years of her life. My friend Maxine Kennedy introduced me to my second wife, June Lockvis. We were married 6 years when she found out she needed a very serious surgery. Since her doctor practiced out of St. Therese Hospital, she went there for the operation. Unfortunately, she must have had a stroke during the operation, and she came out of the surgery brain dead. I was a widower for 4 years before I met Beulah Ruth Loblaw, a longtime Zion resident whose grandfather came to Zion to see if he could be healed from an incurable disease. At that time in Zion, God was performing many miracles through Zion's Reverend John Alexander Dowie. Her grandfather was healed instantly and later became Dowie's secretary. I can remember as a boy seeing all the wheelchairs and crutches hanging on the walls of the church from the people who had been healed in the early 1900s at Dowie's church. Beulah Ruth taught piano at the Zion Conservatory of Music for over 50 years and played piano for Chaplain Percy McCrae at the 10 o'clock a.m. worship service for a number of years before I met her, and that was absolutely true. When I was dating Beulah Ruth, she gave me a birthday card, and on it she wrote, "This card is good for unlimited lunches." That was smooth. I liked it. Mr. Father said, that did it. We were married a few months later. She was 74 and I was 75, just mere young puppies. A couple of years after we were married, she found she had Parkinson's disease, but that didn't stop her from playing the piano at the Wednesday worship services or traveling extensively in Europe. She loved to travel so much that even when the Parkinson's disease took its toll, we went on cruises in the Mediterranean and Caribbean anyway. One thing that stands out in my memory about Beulah Ruth is how many people would tell her, "You not only taught me piano, but you taught me the values of life." She fell hundreds of times in her 10 years with the Parkinson's disease. Sometimes she fell 2 or 3 times in one day. She had a half-dozen stitches over each eye and her lip and a broken hip, yet she seldom complained. She had more courage than I would ever have had. One day when I was at a hospital board meeting with her in Chicago, she got bored waiting for me and took a bus tour of the city by herself, even though she was quite unsteady on her feet and fell often. She lived life to the fullest and taught me about Jesus' protection and love for us. Beulah Ruth had a special relationship with our Lord. I remember as if it were yesterday, one night Dick Stevenson called to see how she was doing. She said, "Dick, I'm going to see my King." It broke me up because she had never said anything to me about her belief. A few months later, when she was sitting at the breakfast table singing, "When We See Christ," she had a very serious stroke and died six days later in her living room when she said she wanted to die. In my 60 years of marriage to 3 wives, none were happier than those 12 years with marriage to Beulah Ruth. I greatly appreciate the hospital and Chaplain McCray for doing this dedication today. God has indeed richly blessed me in my life. I will be 90 years old. Art Fossland. Mr. Fossland, it gives me great delight and pleasure and privilege to dedicate our newest stained glass window to Beulah roof. If you will do me the honors and take that ribbon and let's snatch it down and let's unveil this puppy.
I just want to say, I want to thank Mr. Stevenson and Ann and the administration for giving me the honor of having these windows for my wife. Thank you.
That our primary function here at CTCA as a medical facility, we treat the effects of sickness and disease. One of the main processes utilized in it to empower our patients against those effects is by prescribing medications that will help both the mind, the emotions, and the body. We utilize many prescriptions here for many things that help the relief of pain, anxiety, and low blood counts, just to name a few. So we thought it fitting that among all the prescriptions, or scripts as we prefer to them, we provide for the body, the mind, and the emotions, that it was high time to provide some scripts for the soul and spirit. Therefore, the very same scriptures of affirmation that are tied to our living stones that were just dedicated, which are also written on our floor beneath us, they are now available in their own medicine bottle for immediate distribution. So as another takeaway from today's dedication, we would like for you all not to leave without picking up your prescriptions or your scripts for the skull. God bless you.